we were going to discuss conspiracies for
Yeah.
this episode, to
Right.
do something a little more lighthearted and fun.
Yeah.
But I actually wanted to talk about something a little more serious,
Okay.
instead. I've been thinking a lot about like my family, and
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that comes from, wedding planning and family
Yeah.
planning and things like that. And so I've just been thinking a lot about like how to deal with and cope with the fact that like our families of origin aren't around or aren't going to be
Right.
around for our important events. And as well as I do
Yeah.
that we don't neither of us have really our family of origin, and that's by choice, of course.
Yeah.
But I think that still comes with a lot of grief and
Yeah.
pain and heartbreak, because every like you see people that have their family of origin, they're very tight knit,
Right.
they're very close, they're very supportive,
Yeah.
keyword.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, at least for me, it just gets me thinking about like how much that sucks sometimes, knowing that,
Right.
like, because I know
It
that you're
definitely.
already married and you already dealt with missing your family and all that, but like for me, like wedding planning and family planning and knowing that I have literally nobody
Right.
is really, really hard to cope with. So I was just kind of gonna ask you, like, how did you cope with that when you got married? Like,
Yeah, so I didn't cut off my family until all of my family until relatively recently. So they were
oh,
still, yeah, they were still there for my wedding. They
mm,
were there for the. It's been like maybe a year or two now where like I officially cut ties and like I'm all done.
okay,
So for the longest time, I had that family still in my corner for the most part. And
yeah,
it was, even then, it was still select family because a lot of the time, my family, they're not very supportive, right? With like really anything I was doing, they still saw a different version of me that they wanted me to be. And
yeah,
no matter how many times I would tell them, they were like, nope, this is the version that I want you to be. You need to be this way. And if they didn't like what I was doing, they would definitely let me know in not a very nice way. Point being is the way I deal with it is having that support system. So, for example, my wife's family, they have kind of, accepted me and all my quirks and weirdness that I have. So they've accepted me in a very nice way of either being like that brotherly figure or that son figure.
hmm,
So it's been very good. And then I have friends like you or, a couple of my other best friends where I can, talk about like what's going on in my life and what's happening.
hmm,
So even though as much as it kind of stings to even see my wife and her family be tight knit, because like
yeah,
you crave that,
yeah.
you want that, relationship. But people have done very well supporting me. Do you have like yourself that kind of support system, or how do you feel about like, do you have like anything that helps you cope with being now estranged from your family?
Well, I mean, I'm newly estranged from my
Yeah.
siblings. But as far as like the rest of my family, it has been a few years.
Right.
So I would be lying if I said that like it stings still when it comes to my siblings, but when it comes to like my dad or my aunt and uncle or
Yeah.
other people in my extended family, like it doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah,
But
because you get
also,
used to
yeah,
it over time. Yeah.
I think it's more so the family of origin that
Right.
hurts a little more, because, and I think I have a little bit of leverage considering like my mom died when I was so young, and so I
Yeah.
had no choice but to cope.
Yeah.
So at that point, I feel like that was kind of like the snowball effect that kind of led to
Right.
me like being separated from everybody, and that kind of gave me, I like, for lack of a better term, a little bit of leverage
Yeah.
when it came to that decision. um, so I mean, I'm a very firm believer in chosen family,
Yeah.
and I always have been. I mean, I always think that, like you said earlier, that blood is not thicker than water.
No, no,
Um,
not at all.
no. Um, Sorry, go ahead.
No, I
What
was
was
gonna
it?
say, I was just like, blood is never thicker than water because I have time and time again have tried to have like that relationship with like your mother or your father or your
Hmm.
siblings, and you're like, hey, I just want this relationship to be what I I guess I should say what I perceive as normal. So
Yeah.
like you want that support, that rough housing or
Inclusion.
inclusion, yeah. Instead, it's always meant with like, they're always doing their own thing or they're always talking crap about you or whatever the case may
Or they're
be.
choosing other siblings over
Or
you and
oh,
leaving you
all
out.
the time. All the time it would happen. So
Yeah.
like it's kind of forced me to be in a way like what's the lack of a better word? Like have my own resolve with it. And like
Hmm.
I've grown to be independent as a kid and into adulthood. I've had it's just like it's either sink or swim. So
Hmm.
and now I have the support system, so it's kind of nice to fall back on. But
Yeah.
even then, it's still you still miss that like family of origin of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then you see something and it reminds you of why you're detached from them
Yeah,
in the first place. Like, can we talk about your sister stalking our page?
yeah, that's just too much. Like,
That was
I
insane.
I've told my family time and time again, like they just need to respect my boundary. I've given them
Yeah.
plenty of time, plenty of options to respect that boundary, and they consistently don't know how, and I don't understand
They
it.
know how, they just don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. Like, listen, like I get like at the end of the day, like I'm their brother, right, or their
Yeah.
son, so I get that need of trying to want to be there for me and stuff. But why didn't you do that before? I've given you plenty of time, plenty of options to do that.
Hmm.
So it's just grieving that live family member, is so hard and so difficult. But in the same factor, it also brings me a little bit of like hope,
Hmm.
because then I have this chosen family that
Yeah.
provides me that hope and support that I need. And it makes me be like, I'm going to have a better future than what I
Yeah.
grew up with. I'm going to have, better kids, a better outlook, break that
Yeah.
cycle of trauma.
Break
So,
the cycle. Yeah.
yeah, definitely break that cycle of trauma and abuse and neglect that I experienced as a kid. And now I can, bring upon like a new generation of happiness.
Yeah. And like for me, I don't know how you feel about like this specifically, but like I know for me, um well, I currently have everybody blocked
Yeah. I
except
mean,
for a
yeah.
couple a couple people's phone numbers aren't blocked just because, I have nieces and nephews and,
Yeah, and you want to get updates. Yeah, I
yeah.
get you.
Well, no, not updates per se, but like God forbid anything happens and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
I
that.
get
Not
that.
that they would, but
Right.
my fiance has been really good about like saying that I can have firm boundaries with the people in my life, but also leave a line of communication in case God forbid something does happen. And
Yeah.
so I think that was really good advice on his part. And so I kind of took that. And
He's a
he
very
doesn't really,
grounded man, I will say that.
yeah, no, he doesn't really believe in blocking. And I think to an extent I understand, but sometimes people need to be blocked. Okay.
Yeah, like
Sometimes,
you can
sometimes you gotta be, you
take that
know,
pair of scissors and cut it.
no, but I know like uh for me, I have spent so much of my life trying to make things right and trying to like
Appease
work
everyone.
work
That
through
that was my
problems.
biggest thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with like my siblings specifically because I feel like the three of us, or I should say the four of us, we've
Right.
always had some kind of issue in some
Right.
kind of way, shape, or form over the years. It's always been something. Okay. And I'm not perfect in this situation. I
Yeah.
know that.
Right.
But it comes to a point, when
Yeah.
the pattern is
Enough is
there.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah, the pattern is there and I can only be the one to have that communication and sit people down and
Right.
try to work shit out so many times before I'm burnt out and I'm done, right?
I don't blame you.
But I've spent so much of my time trying to talk it out, trying to point out the problem, trying to be an adult, trying to solve the
Yeah.
problem, trying to meet them halfway or even go the extra mile for them,
Right.
so that they would accept me more and include me more and love me more, but like
Yeah.
it comes to a point where I'm just like, why am I putting in so much effort? Why am I the one that's doing all this work
Right.
and getting like little to nothing in return when I can
Yeah.
see my other siblings so easily include each other, they can
Yeah.
so easily go the extra mile for each other, But when it comes to me, it's suddenly a problem and it's out of their way and it's inconvenient and it's this or that, or oh well, you don't
Right.
have kids, you don't understand, or you work second
Yeah,
shift,
yeah.
or like you live too far away, or like whatever the fucking
It's
excuse
just some
was.
sort of excuse, no matter
Right.
what it is. And
But
for
it
the
never applies to the other person ever. It only
exactly.
applies to me, right?
Yeah.
And so like what I was getting at was I kind of got sorry, I got a little hot
No,
headed
you're
there,
fine.
but
You're fine.
what I was getting at was for me, I don't hate my siblings and I never ever ever will. And
Yeah.
I think if I would be receptive if they decided to take accountability for
Right.
like cuz it's not like they were ghosted out of the blue. They know exactly
Yes.
what happened, they know what they did, they know how I feel, they know why I did what I did.
I mean, you spent
They
ample time setting those boundaries with them,
and
no matter
explaining it
what.
to them. So it's
Yeah.
not like it was random. It's not like it was me just switching up out of nowhere, like they know, even if they pretend not to know, they know. However, I think I would be very receptive if they decided one day to take accountability for everything,
Yeah.
and work things out because like I said, I'm tired of being the one to do it.
Yeah. And like
That's
they,
why that's why they were cut off. That's why I ended
yeah.
up ending that relationship because I was tired of being the one to always do that. And
Right.
I needed that boundary for my own mental health, for my future family, for
Yeah.
whatever else. Um, and so, but that doesn't mean that like if one day they woke up and decided that they miss me, they want me in their
Yeah.
life, and they decided like, you know what, I was kind of shitty towards you, and here's me
Right.
taking accountability. Let's work this out because I love you and I want you in my life.
Right.
How do you feel about your sisters in that sense?
Yeah, so for the longest time, not even longest time, still to this day, it's like the sisters in my mom show.
Yeah.
That be what I mean by that. It's always been like it's always about them, or it's me, 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 and
Hmm.
I was always like treated as like the pack mule. You know what I mean? So like always carrying the weight, carrying the burden of all the stress, trying
Hmm.
to make everyone happy. And as much as like they probably don't see it that way, that's just how I felt, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time they don't take it's always like, well, I'm sorry if you feel that way, not like I'm sorry for how I acted.
I'm sorry I
Oh,
made you feel that way.
yeah, exactly. It's always they always like twist it and manipulate the words to like benefit them, you know?
Hmm.
So it comes back to the point of like you just have to like accept that they're not going to change. No matter what you do, how you do it, how you want them to change, and you grieve that alive family member, it just they'll never change. So it's a lot of the time where I have to like remind myself like they're not going to change, and as much as that sucks, I have to accept that and build that future family for my wife and I to be better, to break that trauma like we mentioned.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got off rambling a little bit,
No,
but
it's okay.
point being is that I try to, accept the change and move on and keep hopeful.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same way. Like I don't know. It's hard to cope with the fact that your family of origin like won't be there for your
Yeah,
milestones and your important events, in the future
right.
because I'm in the middle of, planning my wedding and,
Yeah.
family planning and career changing and all that and like stuff that I would love nothing
Yeah,
more
you
than to
would be
call my
like, hey,
sister and tell her
hey
about.
sis, hey mom, hey
Yeah.
dad.
You
Yeah.
know. And and I learned that my sister's newly engaged, which is great, because
Yeah.
that was kind of, coming. We saw it coming.
Yeah.
And so like I would love to congratulate her and like hear about her future plans
But you
and
have to keep those boundaries.
yeah, but it's like one of those things where it's like you said, like if they're not going to change, if they're not going to hold themselves accountable, if they're going to keep
What's the
repeating these
point?
cycles, they're going to keep
Yeah.
letting people in their ears saying all kinds of
Right.
stupid shit, then it's like you have to keep that boundary in place no matter how badly you miss them, no matter how much you want to
Yeah.
talk to them, no matter how much you want to include them. And that's the part for me that's really hard because I didn't block my siblings because I hate them or because I don't want them in my life. I did it because
You have
I
to
need
protect
that
your
peace.
peace. Yeah, exactly.
I need my future family to have a firm foundation and a
Yeah.
safe, healthy, you know, emotionally stable foundation.
Yeah.
And I need that for myself too. That's why I'm in therapy. And my my
Right.
therapist, she's been suggesting the funniest thing to me. She keeps saying, because I've been talking to her about this and how to navigate it, and she's like,
Right.
would you should ask them if they would come to therapy with you. Would they be open to that? And I was like,
No.
I was like, "Are you joking?" I was like,
Right.
"I'm the first person in my bloodline to ever seek therapy.
Right.
Do you think I would be crazy enough to unblock my siblings and ask them to come to therapy with me knowing that they won't?"
Yeah, my family, so by my family, I just mean my mom and my sisters, we tried to do therapy as like a group family thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that went horrible. We only did one session and we never turned around to go back to it. And, thinking about that kind of reminds me of like, even during therapy, they talked for me and they never let me have a
Oh,
voice or
that
opinion,
would be so frustrating.
Yeah. And I was like, I would try to talk and then they'd be like, well, Alex thinks this, Alex thinks that. And I'm like,
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you
really?
were Alex, but
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah, go ahead. Keep speaking for me. Let me hear what you have to say, you know? So it just brings back to the point where, like, as much as I don't want to have to grieve live family members, I have to. Because at the end of the day, without them, I hate to say it like this, but without them in my life, I have been so much happier. I have become like a certified pharmacy technician. I have made like a good career change. I'm in a stable
You bought a
job.
home, you're
Yeah,
married.
exactly. So like I've done a lot better. I hate to say it, but without them in my life,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
as much as like I crave to have that sister or that mother or that father, they
Hmm.
didn't provide that. I gave them like 23, 24 years of my life and they did not provide that support that I needed once. So why would I continue to allow them to diminish me, you know?
And not only that, but the fact that like most of your family that that you've showed me has
Yeah.
taken your personal business to the internet.
Yeah, and I'm like
Like name dropping and everything. They're just like, "Yeah, I'm like my son Alex, this and this and this." And I was like,
I was like, do you just
Okay,
want to put my
I get it.
social up there
If
too?
like if you need to like share something petty online, by all means go for
Go
it.
right ahead.
But
But
like
like you don't need a
name
name drop.
dropping,
Yeah,
personal
show
business
pictures.
dropping, that is crossing a line. Like I can talk about my family or past friends until I lose my breath. I will
Right.
never drop a name. I will
Right.
never ever drop a name. I will never drop any personal business whatsoever because it's not my story to tell. Say
Yeah.
what you need to, but you need to like regardless of how much you hate somebody or don't like somebody, you like
There's a
be a
line
good
you just don't.
person.
Yeah, there's a line you just don't cross,
Like,
and like my mom has crossed that boundary so many times. Of like even that, I think she made like a TikTok video of like
yes, you
basically,
sent it to me
yeah,
like 2
yeah, of
years
like
ago.
just
Yeah.
describing the whole situation, and I'm like, listen, you don't need to tell them like my diagnosis, my name, or my wife's name. Like that doesn't need to be out online. Like, granted, you can probably find it online easily no matter what. But like it's to the point where like you don't need to feed into it, you know?
And
And the
nobody
fact,
knows the story either. Like everyone was commenting like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, mama. I pray that
yeah.
he comes out of this. I pray that he comes back to you." And it's like, how about you tell the whole story
Yeah,
first?
it's always their way or the highway. It's always they're gonna tell the story how they want to tell it, and I'm always like, listen, I know I'm a villain in some people's eyes. I will accept that, and I will move on. And I know I'm true to my heart, so you know what? Fuck the rest of them. It's kind of how I
Yeah,
how
well,
I
and
feel
that too,
about
it's
it.
like you can keep discussing an old version of me, as long as you want to, but it's like I'm working on myself, I'm getting better
Yeah,
every day, and I'm healing. So if you want to
right.
keep living in the past, that's great, which I guess
I'm gonna leave you in the
kind of
past.
sort of,
Goodbye.
yeah, I mean, like that, like saying that kind of sort of makes me a little bit of a hypocrite, just because like I tend to discuss things that have happened to me in the past, but I'm not dwelling on it.
But
It's
see,
a
when
difference between explaining what happened and what you went through,
yeah,
and dwelling on it, like talking about it like I know in our messages we like to beat a dead horse every now and then, but it's
listen,
not
that's
like
different.
I'm not living in that
But
past version of myself,
it when we talk about it, we're just like we're saying like this is what happened in the past and this is how we got here, and it gives the whole story. And like there's times where like I've been an asshole and I can accept that.
Oh yeah,
but
same, me too.
but we're giving the whole story. We're not just like focusing on one detail. We're like, hey, this is the behavior I had in the past or they had in the past. This is
Hmm.
what happened and this is how it is now, so we can explain the whole story, not just part of it or a version like they like to.
Yeah, and that's why I keep my screenshots sometimes.
Oh, I keep all of them. I have like a whole folder just full of
Because
screenshots you can just scroll.
I've had somebody in my life that has tried to spin the narrative sometimes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
actually, according to my screenshot, that's not true, but this is, you know.
Yeah, you're just like
But
send them just like, hey, why don't I just send you every single screenshot again just so I can remind you how you act,
No, that's very
um,
true. But like if you okay, so like I don't you didn't really answer the question, but like if your
sorry, we just
sisters
rambled on for a
it's
second.
okay. If you're like if your parents or your sisters just like suddenly woke up one day and they were like, "Holy shit, I was the biggest bitch alive. I need to go get my brother back," you know?
Yeah,
If they like genuinely, not like the fake, "Oh, I miss
yeah, yeah.
you." If they genuinely if they genuinely flipped a switch, if they genuinely flipped a switch and decided that they wanted to apologize and be accountable and they wanted you back in their life, would you accept it or would you like forgive them and then still move on without them?
I see it's kind of a double-edged sword with that question. And I'll kind of explain my reasoning behind all of it.
Yeah.
So I've had that conversation with my wife plenty of times, and
Hmm.
it's gotten to a point of it's gonna be how they talk about it. So
Yeah.
is it where they're like accepting accountability, like what you're saying, then I wouldn't be totally opposed to having that conversation, and it's going to be like a conversation of okay, so this is how we feel. I am sorry for how I acted, and I for my sisters I would probably accept them back in my life, honestly.
Hmm.
Because as much as like they frustrate me, I still miss them to a certain extent,
Yeah,
but I
that's
also have
understandable.
to protect my inner peace, like we
Yeah.
mentioned. But my mom, she has done unimaginable like trauma, neglect, abuse, whatever, however you want to phrase
Irreversible
it.
damage.
Yeah, and I can't accept that. Like honestly, end of the day, I can't accept that into my life anymore, because no matter what I have done to try to appease any of my family, and that even goes to like my father, for example.
Hmm.
So like end of the day, it would probably just be my sisters I would accept, but anyone else, I probably wouldn't. Honestly, I can't do it. I can't do the back and forth,
Yeah.
constantly. So is there anyone like that you feel that way about? Like you would accept them back in your life, or would it be kind of where you're just like, I'm done, and that
Yeah,
is
well, I mean, I did kind of go a little bit over that like earlier when I said that
yeah.
like if my
Oh
siblings
yeah, I guess that's
kind
true.
of if they looked back and realized that like they were a pretty big part of the problem
Yeah,
and accepted that and took accountability for that, then I would like 100% like be open to that conversation. Of course, because so much has happened over the years and my fiance's been involved and he's actually like been at at the, brunt
he's been a
end of
little. He's
some
been
of
a
that
little bit of a
problem.
mediator too, right? A little
Well,
bit.
no, not really, but he
Oh
has been involved in some of the like crap that they've
yeah,
thrown our way.
yeah,
And so like some of the stuff that has happened has affected him pretty severely too. So
right.
I feel like it would be like I would be open to that conversation 100%.
Yeah,
However, as far as letting them back in, I'd probably have to discuss it with my fiance first because, like I
yeah,
said, it also affects him, and I don't want to do anything that's going to affect our lives in the future or our future kids. Him and I have had that conversation several times about a specific sibling,
yeah.
and I just wouldn't want to put him in a position to be uncomfortable or hurt or anything like
Right.
that. So I think he respects that I would be open to that conversation
Yeah.
because he knows that I love them. He knows that I want them and like
Right.
he understands how much this affects me. However, as far as I have blindly let them back into my life too many times and
Right.
every time it has
It's always
completely
been
screwed us
something.
over.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I would definitely be open to that conversation with them and
Yeah.
then seeing how he feels about it, how I feel about it. We'll have that deep conversation and decide where to go from there. But I'm kind of in the same boat as you with my dad.
Yeah.
My dad is a narcissist.
Right.
He's very black and white, back and forth, very um so sappy, heartfelt, like mushy gushy,
Yeah.
and then he's completely evil. I mean, like
Right.
you don't know who you're getting.
Right.
And
It's
so
either
like
one or the. It's either 0 or 100, nothing in between.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
and I've seen both sides of him like my whole life up until I officially cut him off, and like I've heard from extended family that he goes
Right.
around saying like I don't know what I did wrong with her, I don't know where I went wrong, and I'm like you know exactly where you went wrong.
We had this conversation, sir.
Like this is what I mean. Like when the people who do you dirty act dumb, they act like
Yeah.
They act like this was out of the
Almost
blue.
frustrates you. I don't know
It's
about you,
very
but
frustrating.
yeah, you're just like,
'Cause-
you just want to shake them on the shoulders and be like, you know what you did. I've explained this to you, and yet you
yeah.
don't accept any of it.
Well, I don't think I've ever sat down and had that conversation with him because we've been estranged for so long. I never
Right.
really gave myself that opportunity because I knew it wouldn't be worth it. And I still know it
Yeah.
won't be worth it because I can tell him like here's how you ruined my fucking life and here's how you
Yeah.
ruined my perception of love and here's how you did this and this and this and this and
Right.
like all roads lead back to you.
Yeah.
And but I feel like it wouldn't be worth it because sure he'd probably be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I love you."
Right.
But at the
But
end of
it's
the day,
just
he'd be
fake
like,
work.
"I
It's
didn't
fake
do nothing
promises.
wrong. What did I
Yeah.
do? I did nothing but love you. I clothed you. I
Yeah.
fed you. I took custody of you when your mom died." And I'm like, "Yeah, because there was this involved, asshole."
Yeah.
But like,
Also, you're my dad. You're required to kind of, you know?
yeah, no, but it's like one of those things where like I don't know if I'd be even receptive to a conversation with him.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it.
No.
I don't think my mental health would thrive on a conversation with him.
Yeah.
I think it would probably just make things worse.
Sometimes you just know, like, you know, at end of the day, it's better this way,
Yeah.
and you got to protect your inner
And
peace,
it
you
won't
know?
be worth it. It's like
Yeah.
it's a point where it's like would this do more damage than good? And I feel like
Right.
when it comes to my dad specifically, it would do more damage.
Yeah.
But as far as like my aunt and uncle, I don't know if you know about this, but like
Yeah.
they took custody of me when I was 14 and they
Okay.
basically raised me.
Right.
Um and we've had our fair share of problems. And
Right.
we've kind of been estranged for like 5 years now.
Sure. Sure.
I would be receptive to a conversation with them. I would be
Right.
totally open to, making things work with them because even though
Yeah.
they kind of have given me their own fair share of trauma,
Right.
they didn't do nearly as much damage
Yeah.
psychologically as my dad did. So I feel
Right.
like for that, like, and I don't know if I would ever be the one to open that door, but
Right.
again, I would be receptive to it if the time came. But
Yeah, it's gonna really depend, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about like talking it over with your fiance. Because I would do the same with my
yeah,
wife. Is that it's about building your own family, and I want everyone in my family, which right now is just my wife and I, to be happy and perspective. And because if I ever accepted my like sisters back, I want
hmm
Lex to have a full opinion on what's going on, what's
hmm
happening. So it's about, just protecting everyone around you, not just
hmm
yourself. But I've built this, chosen family, if you will.
yeah,
So I want to make them all happy,
and
honestly. Like,
comfortable.
yeah, and comfortable. And I know they want to see the same for me. They don't want to see me in distress or sad or mad or
hmm
whatever. So, like, I want everyone's opinion. I don't want to just be like, hey, accept you blindly back in my life and make my life a living hell again.
And
I don't
let you
want
turn
that.
my life upside down
Yeah,
again.
exactly. And I don't want that. So I don't want just the inner peace and the happiness that I desire, or not desire, that I deserve. Honestly,
Yeah,
everyone deserves that. So I
yeah.
want that for myself, for you, for my wife, whoever.
hmm
But point being is like I'm kind of in the same boat as you. As like it's gonna really depend on how that conversation happens, when that happens. Is it gonna happen in tomorrow? Is it gonna happen 10 years? Like
Or
what
never.
stage of life? Yeah, or never. So it's gonna depend on what stage I am in life is gonna be the biggest factor for that to me too.
Yeah, that too, and like also you want to make sure that you're not like because the universe keeps giving you these lessons until you
Yeah,
learn them, right? So you
yeah,
don't want to like make a decision and then all of a sudden you're learning that lesson all over again. And that's
right.
kind of the boat that I'm in, like with my siblings. So I was like, this has happened so many times over the years that I'm like
Yeah,
wondering if this is the universe trying to teach me something.
it's like
And
listen to me right now.
yeah, it's like, hello, like you are
Right,
going backwards, you need to be going forward. So
right.
like let's not do this again. So like that's kind of what I think about too when I miss them. I'm like, if I go backwards, is my life gonna backtrack or
Yeah.
you know,
Like
I
there's
don't
so
know.
many avenues. It's like a butterfly effect of like if I do this, then this will happen, this will happen. So
And
you
there's
never know.
consequences. There's consequences
Yeah.
no matter what decision you make. So I think like for me at this point, I think it might be better for me and my fiance and our futures to just kind of stay where we're at, keep
Yeah.
moving forward, think about our
Yeah.
family, and plan for what we think is best. We're both in the midst of breaking these curses and
Right.
in these traditions and stuff and we're making our own family, making our
Yeah.
own. plans.
Making your own
And
way.
so yeah, I think
Yeah,
about that. Maybe that's just the best for us right now, and like you can miss them and love them from a distance, but maybe it's best to just kind of keep them at an arm's length.
exactly. Exactly.
But
Um,
that kind of pulls me into what I really wanted to talk about.
yeah,
Um, I saw a podcast the other day of this lady who was talking about she's estranged from her parents as well, and
right,
sh and her mother was dying, and
right.
she got a call, and her parents had asked her to be there in her mother's final moments, and she didn't really go too much into depth about why they were estranged, but she was like feeling really conflicted on what she wanted to
Yeah,
do. Do I want to be there and hold my mother's hand in her last moments because she is still my mother, and she's
yeah,
she's at arguably the scariest moment of her life.
yeah. Anyone
And
like, yeah,
right, and so she was kind of battling with, do I be there and like hurt myself, or do I not be there and hurt them? And so it kind of got me thinking of something that I think about all the time,
right,
is when my dad dies, am I going to show up? Am I going to be there for my family?
right.
Or am I going to opt out, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term, and protect my I'm opting out of this funeral, no pun. That was kind of a shitty way to
Sorry,
put it,
just
but
the way
like
that was phrased, I was like, ah.
no, or am I going to decide to not be there for the sake of my own mental health? Because
Yeah,
why would I show up for someone who was never in my life, who was never a good figure in my life?
right,
Um I always told myself growing up that when my dad does die, the only reason I would show up to his funeral was for my siblings, because
right,
I know they're a lot closer to him than I am or ever have been.
right.
So I would go there to support them and maybe get closure for myself.
Yeah,
But now that I'm estranged from my entire family,
family.
I'm kind
Yeah,
of conflicted on, well, do I still go for the closure and face not only the death of another parent and like um what's the word I'm looking for? The side eye from my siblings because we're
yeah.
estranged.
The
Are they
judgment.
gonna, like,
Yeah,
yeah, the judgment, like, are they gonna be supportive in that time of need, or are they gonna, just be on the other side of the funeral while I'm sitting here by myself, and then I feel stupid for showing up at all because I
yeah.
have nobody and they all have each other?
Right.
Like, do I swallow my pride and show up and get that closure and support
Yeah,
them despite our relationship, or do I not go and suffer the consequences of their judgment and their
right,
potential hatred because I didn't go, So
right.
have you ever thought about that with your parents, like what you would do?
Yeah, so I've thought about that quite a lot, and I've had those conversations with my wife and even my mother and father-in-law. Because, like, it's a valid question, right?
Yeah.
Because it's such a scary moment in someone's life when they pass and they're just no
Hmm.
longer there. So honestly, I've thought about it a lot, and my mindset might change, obviously, because
Yeah.
we're growing as a person, and I'm
Hmm.
going to, the bright resources. But for right now, I don't think I would show up. Honestly,
No.
like I have to protect myself, and to me, a funeral is celebrating someone's life.
That's
Because
true.
you know what I mean? Because you want to be like, listen, they're passing on to wherever they're going,
Hmm.
whatever you end up believing in, either religious or not. You
Yeah.
want to celebrate their life and what the achievements they did and how they came and how you love them.
And their
But
impact on, yeah, on
yeah,
people.
and their impact on people. So right now, for the time being, I wouldn't go to my mother and my father's funeral. I have to protect myself, and to me, there was nothing worth there's no like love or affection that I
Nothing
have
worth
for them.
celebrating.
Nothing worth celebrating. I hate to say that because I sound like an asshole, but to me, like they've caused so much unforgivable like neglect and
Hmm.
trauma and abuse, or just things I've seen from them that I don't want to celebrate them, honestly.
Yeah.
Like my siblings, different story, but for right now, I have to protect myself and my own mental health. That, like,
Hmm.
granted, am I kind of an asshole for not going to the funeral? Maybe. But again, it's about my needs and my wants. Like, I have done my whole life of not being selfish, that, like, finally I need to be selfish to
Oh
help
yeah.
protect my happiness. So I don't think I would go. But again, for anyone that's even watching this, like, it's going to really just depend on how you feel, and you need to protect yourself. Well, at this time, if you feel like you don't want to go, then don't go, because end of the day, you need to make yourself happy.
you're gonna get judgment no matter what. Whether
Yeah.
you go or don't go, you're
Yeah,
still gonna
because
have people
like
talking about you. You're still gonna have
yeah,
people side
it's
eyeing
you're gonna
you.
be the villain in someone's eyes no matter what you do. Like even like let's say you take the family equation out of it, no matter what you do in life, you're gonna make someone mad. You're gonna be a villain in someone's story. So you need to be happy and
Hmm.
choose what is right for you and how to be the most like I love the term of like being the most free, you know?
Hmm.
So like going out, enjoying life, living life to the fullest and doing everything you can just to, be free.
And regardless, at the end of the day, you're gonna be the one sitting with that decision.
Yeah.
So,
It's
do you
not like
want
they're
to?
sitting with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to sit with the regret of not going, or do you want to sit with the regret of going?
Yeah.
And like for me, like honestly, you put it in a really good way. I never thought about, because obviously I know that funerals are a celebration of life. I know that,
Yeah.
but I never thought of it in a way of maybe I won't go because there was nothing worth celebrating, at least for me.
Yeah, because
Because I don't want to go there and celebrate the life of a father who chose drugs and alcohol over me,
right.
who provided like domestic violence in front of me and my siblings, and like I don't know, I never really thought of it that way. And like another thing that the podcast that I saw,
Yeah.
she said this quote that really really struck me.
Sure.
And she said, "You needed a daughter in death, but I needed a mother in life."
That,
And
that's a
that,
very
oh my god, that was
yeah. I've never thought about it that. Yeah, no, right?
that that was I was like, "Holy shit." Like
Yeah,
that
that is very
really struck me. I
powerful.
was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, that is so real." And that's really been sitting with me too. And like I know that if I don't go, my siblings will hate me. I
Yeah.
know that.
But
But I wish that they would consider why, if, and I'm not saying I decided yet, because I'm
yeah.
still very much in that what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But it's another thing of, are they even going to tell me? Because my
Right.
siblings have a pretty long track record of not telling me stuff in our family that happens.
Yeah.
I'm either the last to know, or I find out through Facebook.
Right.
So I don't know. It's even a matter of, am I gonna know? So
Yeah.
is that decision gonna be ripped away from me because I
Right.
don't know? Or are they gonna have the decency to tell me, because at the end of
Yeah.
the day he is still my father, you know?
Right. And
But yeah, so I don't know. I can't
it's a
say
lot
I'm
to sit with.
affirmative.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm affirmative right now, but it's still something that I think about all the time. And like when I talk to my fiance about it, he's like, "You need to do whatever you feel is right. Don't consider anybody
Yeah.
else.
It's
You need
about
to
you.
decide what you want."
The
He
most
said, "I'm going to
important
support your decision either way."
right.
And I think everybody needs someone like that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, I mean, I think of it this way too, is that is it more disrespectful because I haven't had that relationship with my mother or father for so long? Is it more disrespectful for me to show up to the funeral? Because it
Oh
is a
yeah.
celebration of life. So am I really doing it's kind of one of those things I think about, like, am I doing more harm than good by going
Yeah.
to the funeral, you know? So that's something I think about too. Is like I need to like find that balance. And like right now, this is just how I felt is what I already mentioned. But I don't want to be disrespectful to other people in general when it's such a sensitive time during that
Hmm.
kind of period. So I want to just consider everyone, even as much as like I'm estranged from my family right now. I also still want to consider their feelings, and I don't want to like you know what I mean? Like step on anyone's toes if I can help
Yeah.
it.
That's the kind of boat that I'm into, is like I really am taking my siblings into consideration with this decision,
Yeah.
more so than my own dad, because like I don't I don't know. Like it doesn't.
It's a tough call,
I'm
I
not
believe.
saying that it's not gonna hurt when he dies, because of course it does. I've lost a parent before. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But I think this decision, I feel like it matters more to me to consider my siblings than it does to consider my dad,
Yeah, for sure.
because I know that they're closer to him than I was, and like I said, I would probably only show up to support them.
Yeah.
But that's even if, like I said, that's even if I end up knowing. But like you said,
Right.
like showing up when you were the one to make the call to end that relationship.
Yeah.
And then you show up and everyone's like, why the fuck are you
Why are
here?
you here?
Like,
You
you
didn't
left
do
her. Like,
anything else.
yeah,
Yeah.
you talk crap about her. You want nothing to do with her. So why the fuck are you here? And then everyone's judging you and side eyeing you the whole time when you're just trying to grieve.
Yeah.
So I think for me, instead of dealing with that on top of grieving, I would almost rather just grieve on my own, you know?
Yeah. Like I've been so independent for so long, I can keep doing it on my own, you know.
Yeah. But I don't know, it's just one of those things like it when it comes to grieving family, whether they're alive or dead, it's so hard
It's difficult.
when you
Yeah.
consider like your future children, future family, future anything. And
Right.
you're like, well, they're not, because I my whole life I've dealt with my mom not being there for my milestone. She wasn't there
Right.
for my first period, my graduation, my first
Yeah.
heartbreak. She's not gonna be at my wedding. She's not gonna be at the hospital when I give birth.
Right.
She's not gonna be here for anything. And like that was really hard to come to terms with. But the parent that I do have here is not in a position to be a parent, and so it's like it's almost easier for me to grieve not
Yeah.
having that family because I know what it's like to like the way that I like to put it is it's easy for me to not have a family by choice because I know what it's like to not have family by no choice. My
Yeah.
mom was ripped away from me and my family is estranged from me
Right.
because I chose that.
Yeah.
So I feel like people who have gone through the death of a family member, they know how that feels and it makes that decision a little more easy because you've already been through it like without
Right.
choosing,
You already
you know?
it's I hate to use this term, but like it's like familiar feelings. You know, I hate to
Yes.
say familiar, but like you already know what it's like not to have them. So you can be that independent person you need and
Hmm.
keep keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I know that we've like me and my fiance have decided that we don't want our kids being back and forth and having different opinions and being
Yeah.
told different things and going back and forth with family that's just going to talk crap about us or
Right.
involve children in drama that they don't need to be in. We just want our kids to be kids. We want them to grow up and have a happy childhood. And
Yeah.
if that means that they have a very, very small extended family, then that's fine. But like
That's how it's gonna be.
I'd rather have that than have a
Yeah.
huge extended family of a bunch of fake people who do
Yeah.
nothing but talk crap about us and our kids and and then try to act all friendly to our faces. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like
Yeah.
and like it hurts. It's gonna hurt
It's
forever,
gonna
but
hurt. Yeah. You just
it's one
have
of
to
those
learn.
things where it's like I need to choose your pain. Do you want the pain
Yeah.
of dealing with somebody who hurts you all the time, or do you want to deal with the pain of them not being there? And I think I deal with the pain of them not being there
Yeah.
over.
It is definitely a lot more protecting your peace that way.